over the world, mainly the United States. But yeah, I'm here. I'm excited to talk virtual. That's sort of right up my alley. How do we engage virtual teams? My experience has been in working for an HR tech company, before I left my job in 2020. So we really had to essentially lead the pack in terms of culture, because HR, that company was all about culture, and the company's motto at the time was people first. So how do we engage teams in a way where we can shape or improve the team culture and at the same time inspire other companies. So that was my background, and I was working on the mobile platform at the time. And in 2020, I left my job and said, hey, I want to build a tool that would engage teams with a click of a button. And here we are. So now I'm the founder of CrowdParty. We're a small team based in Toronto, like I mentioned. And we are essentially serving teams from all over the world, teams from the likes of Shopify, Google, Hulu, and you name it. So lots of companies, especially tech companies who are now working remotely or hybrid, are using CrowdParty to essentially, ignite joy within their teams and their organizations.
I like that. You know, I don't use CrowdParty for workplace. I see it more for events because I'm really into events. And I think it would be a great kickstart to a virtual event or training or networking. And I like all the things you can do with it. But before we get into that, I wanted to ask you, like, what was, and I'm saying this, everyone, because I spoke with Justin beforehand, so I know just a little bit more than you guys. So what was it about working in HR that made you create CrowdParty?
Yeah, so, like I mentioned, I was working on a team there. So half the team prior to the pandemic was already, we already had some sort of remote process going, because half the team was actually based in Toronto, half the team was based in Florida. So we already had to communicate and essentially bond over things like Zoom, Google Meet, over Slack. And, from time to time, we would host essentially virtual gatherings, right? Even before the pandemic. And that sort of helped us ease into the pandemic situation. But yeah, so, I was fortunate enough to be one of the more extroverted engineers. And, I like people to have fun at work. So essentially I ended up leading that team. So started off as an engineer at that team, but eventually ended up leading that team. And one of my ethos within that team was, we have to have fun. I think fun and joy is an important ingredient for any successful workplace. Because last thing I want to see, and I've worked at previous companies where I did see this, where, people would clock in, right, and just clock out. And there's no bonding, and there is no, deeper connections. And, let me tell you, Erica, the team members that I had on that team are still my friends today, and we still go for barbecues, we still hang out. And, a lot of companies, and, there's a lot of posts out there that say, hey, a company shouldn't be your family, a company shouldn't be your friends. I beg to differ, because if your team, what I realize is that leading this team, if your team is, has a friendly rapport with each other, they're open to vulnerability, they're open to transparency. And how you always want your friend to succeed?
Yeah.
That's the feeling you get when you have a team that are close to each other, that are, have this friendly rapport with each other. So how we sort of inspired that was through these non-work things. So, after lunch, we'd play Uno, or maybe a board game, just to have sort of that soft, engagement time with our peers, without any of the work stuff, without any stress of the work. And we just open up through fun and joy, and we laugh. I think that is a very important ingredient. If you're not laughing every day at work, there's something wrong, right? And that's become harder now because everybody's remote. So, you're smiling, you're laughing, that's great. And if we have this, it's all about, uh, our brain receptors, right? There's, what is it, dopamine or
Yep.
serotonin, which is the happiness hormone. And if we do get those, our days are going to look brighter at work, and we're going to have, a much more enjoyable time working, even in the confines of our own homes. So, yeah.
I like that. What I was trying to hint at is that before you made CrowdParty, you were doing this by hand using what was it, Google?
Yeah. So, okay. So that's a funny story, actually. So during the pandemic, my manager at the time said that, hey, Justin, you have to host a happy hour. And I told him, look, this thing barely works with two people in a room. We have connection issues. We're looking at one person, one screen. To host a 70 people happy hour is, an incredible task, right? It's a huge task. And I said, okay, well, how am I gonna make this work, right? So my goal was, if I can get 70 people to come in a room, right, for them to have fun for at least the first 15 minutes and engage them in some way, right? Then I've at least completed part of the requirement of a virtual happy hour, right? Because last thing I want is 70 people in a room, and now you have two people sharing about their life story, and everybody's just listening, eating popcorn in their pajamas. So what I did, right, is I spent about an hour and a half creating this tedious Google Slides trivia or Google Slides game. So one slide had trivia. It had trivia for oh, who's the team leader of this team? Who's the manager of that team? Who's the architect of this team, right? And then the next slide would be charades. How would you act out paid time off, right? So then we had probably about 15 slides, and I went through them and I calculated the scores by hand. And lo and behold, people loved it. Out of the 70 people, about 50 of them stayed after the fact.
Wow.
And now you had, how they answered was using the chat functionality in Google Meet. So it was very, it was very kind of analog, right? And, after the fact, people were making new friends, right? So there were inside jokes that were being developed throughout these games, right? Throughout the conversations after each trivia, for example, right? And now they got to meet another person from another team, which they've never spoken to, right? Which they've never really had a relationship with. And now they can continue those relationships even beyond this happy hour. And that's what we want, right? When we're getting together, virtually, or even in the office, right? That's what we want. We want relationships to build, right? But we can't build those relationships if we can't give them an easy way to build it. So I thought that the slides and the charades would be funny enough, right? And it ended up being a hit. So after that, I asked myself, that's 2 hours of my time. 2 hours of engineering time is not cheap, right? And that's 2 hours of my time I could have spent somewhere else. So I thought, what if there was a tool that could just build this in one click? And I looked around and I was looking at the other solutions. Some solutions you had to download software onto computer, so it's not that accessible. Some solutions were too complicated and it wasn't one click. So I said, I'm going to build something that does this in one click. And that's essentially how CrowdParty came to be. It was just a one clicker, right? You go to the thing, you select a game, and we're going to do a halftime show or an end time show, just to really showcase how easy and how engaging the platform really is. But that's how it came to be. And in June of 2020, I said, wow, there's something here. And we launched in November, late October, early November of 2020. And companies just picked it up because that's what companies need. They need a tool that would empower them to really, sprinkle joy throughout their daily routine, right? Because that's what we want. We don't want to just sit down here and talk about work. We do, right? But if you can somehow find some time during the day and you have a moment where people are smiling, people are laughing, and you have a platform that makes it easy to do that, wouldn't you want that? And that's essentially what we did with CrowdParty. So CrowdParty, we have two taglines. A, it's the instant joy platform, kind of like instant coffee. B, we are the Netflix for workplace games. So, Netflix is very easy to use. You go to the selection screen, you pick a movie. And that's how it is with CrowdParty. And the Netflix for workplace games, wasn't actually our initial tagline, right? But shout outs to Daniel, one of our customers who used it for their virtual school and education. And now we said that has a good ring to it. That makes sense. So thank you, Daniel.
I like it. So when you told me the story about you making the Google Slides, and now that I don't have to do that because I have CrowdParty, and I like events, my idea was, let's say you want better or more engagement during your virtual event. Let's say you have like 30 speakers and you help your speakers build out their own CrowdParty games. And while they're hosting their talk, their training, for like a recap, they could pull out CrowdParty and have their attendees play the game with them about a recap of what they just went over for their talk or their training. And I'm thinking that would help so much, because sometimes you go to events where people can just talk and talk and talk and you're sleepy and you want to do something else.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, that's definitely, one of the bigger use cases of CrowdParty. So, albeit we sort of targeted initially sort of this, kind of scenarios of having virtual bonding and a virtual happy hour, but that is perfectly, valid use case. We've actually, one of our customers use it for things like workplace training, right? For the government of Ontario, right? So what they would do is they would have sort of this lecture or this seminar, maybe an hour, right? And at the very end, they'd play a quick, fun CrowdParty game with not just trivia, right? Because CrowdParty has more to offer than trivia. They'd have things like, would you rather's, pick who's, two truths and a lie. So they would, open up a CrowdParty game to essentially review and refresh the content that was shown, right, in a fun and engaging way. So definitely a valid use case. One of the more pressing use cases as well is onboarding, right? Because it's the same deal, right? You tell, whenever interns start, whenever new employees start, you sort of give them an hour of like, you overload them with information about the company, who the CEOs are. But if you can do that in a fun and engaging way, people would retain information in a fun and engaging way. And, it's always memorable when people are laughing and smiling, right? It's always memorable. And, if you want to make your onboarding process less boring, take it from this talk and just spin up a quick CrowdParty game. And again, it's a single click of a button, right? And now you can sort of review, who are the key people in the companies are, right? What are the key features of this company, and really let them take sort of valuable information that they won't retain otherwise.
Yeah, I like that. One of my favorite things is that you can make your own games and it gives you this template to use. But if you didn't want to do that, you can just choose a game to play. I like that too, because sometimes I'm lazy.
Well, I'm lazy too. That's why we built it that way. Right. So, we have a bunch of featured games that are being updated on a weekly basis. And now that the holiday season is coming up, everybody's looking for something to do over the holidays. So we've got a lot of fresh new content that's being updated on a, weekly basis. And it's as easy as choosing one of those games. And you mentioned about being able to create your own games. We can actually even customize one of the featured rooms that we already have. So if you're feeling extra lazy, right, you can take, we have a featured room called, Falling for Autumn, which is kind of a witty title. Shout outs to our content strategist. But they could take that game, right? And if they want to have some sort of, onboarding around, maybe just meet and greet mingle session for new people who've onboarded, they can take that existing game, customize it, and now sort of place it in the context of that company by asking one or two questions about the company. And then everything else will come from that featured room, right? And it's as easy as, like I said, you pick a room, you customize it, you add in a question, and it's so easy because we even have a one-click like random generator button. So if you haven't had your coffee yet for the day and you can't think of a good trivia question, you press this little button and it'll come up with a trivia question for you, and you can just change the answers, right? So this was designed for folks like you and I who are extremely lazy. I mean, not extremely lazy, but we're lazy to do the things that are mundane, right? The things that really don't fulfill us. So, if this is, a platform, this platform will save you time. It's going to save you the mental energy, right? To come up with something fun and joyful. And I think that's sort of the biggest problem with virtual tools, is that a lot of them take some mental energy and some time to learn. And that's sort of, my background in university was human computer interaction. So I've always wanted to make sure that it's the easiest possible experience for the end user, right? It's as easy as pressing a button, add a few questions, and now you have this seemingly custom game designed for your organization. And you didn't have to do any work other than changing the answers.
I mean, truly is one of the things I love about it. And like, show me some automation and I'm there. And it's like, I'm very attracted to automation. I am a big fan of lifetime deals. I am an AppSumo addict, and I buy things and they just sit there because the learning curve is so high.
Right.
But with CrowdParty, I like that I can use it right away. I can share it with people and they can use it right away. There's no conversation about how to do this or that. I like that it's just easy to work.
That's, I've always, when I build products or even my own projects, I always go off of this foundation that, it should just work. It should, right? You don't want to give any other barriers or obstacles. And, we design the product so that you don't need an IKEA booklet for you to learn about how to use the product, right? And, our video tutorial content is very minimal. We have like one video, right? All the other videos on YouTube are like reviews on CrowdParty. But we designed it so that I don't want you to sit through a 2-minute video tutorial. I want you to explore it, how easy it is, right? Because it is that easy, right? It is a product that just works. And I think in our society today, we expect things to have this higher barrier for access. So, sometimes you have customers asking even before they try the product. And here's the thing. It's free to try. It's free for up to 10 players. You don't have to sign up, right? And again, we sort of designed that with the idea in mind that it should just work, right? But some customers would be like, hey, can I get a demo? And I'm like, yeah, you can. Play it with your team right now. Click one button and you're up and running. So that eases the load on our end because, I want to do demos, right? I want to show you the product, but I want you to experience it for yourself, right? So actually, when we changed the copy around the homepage, we've seen a reduction in inquiries regarding demos because, they just go in there, right? And again, very easy to access, free, no sign up. Can you believe that? You don't have to sign up to
try
play a game, right? You press host a game and you're in and you're having fun, right? In under a minute. So that's sort of we want to stick to that vision because I'm always, I'm inspired by Apple products where you open it up and it just makes sense, right? And as the longer you play around with it, the more you understand its complexity. But from the outset, it is a very simple sort of user experience. Yeah.
Another thing I like about it is when I was trying it out, I got to try it out by myself. It let me play as a solo player. I didn't have to have my team there with me. Another time, one of our mastermind members brought it, and we played with that for about a good 20, 30 minutes. But
That's
now,
awesome.
so, and another use case for it is if you do have a mastermind, I would suggest making content in CrowdParty about a review of what happened the week before. So it could be like a
Mm,
refresher. Yeah. I
right.
mean, I got many ideas about this platform, Justin.
Wow.
So I
Wow.
want to say thank you for making it because I do appreciate it.
No problemo. No problemo. Thanks for validating our work. That means a lot to us. And it's sort of funny because it's like, when we created CrowdParty, we really, my vision was to bring back joy to the workplace. Because at the time, during the pandemic, it was hard, right? I feel like the world had undergone sort of, that was a traumatic event. And
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend the other day, and I said, there's got to be some sort of world like therapy session for people who experience the pandemic. Because now it's like it was hard. It was hard for all of us, right? And my goal was always to how can I, help in that regard, even as a small improvement, right? And that's back in my experience with the remote team. Sorry. um it's all about joy. If we can just add a little bit of smiles and laughter, and we're laughing with each other, I think that is an improvement in itself. So that was really the core vision there. And it's funny because we started off with the workplaces, and we said, here you go, here's a great tool that you can use within your organizations. And slowly but surely, schools and education started finding out about this. And they were like, wow, we want to use this because now we have hybrid learning, right? So we have school like Chelsea from New York, for example, one of our teacher advocates, who sort of went on the platform really early on. She said, this is amazing because, every time we, bi-weekly, we end a chapter, the kids are just having fun, whether they're in the classroom or they're not, but it's a connected experience, right? And then we started getting event organizers into the platform. And again, like this is sort of outside the scope of our initial niche. But now you have event organizers from the crypto world. We have a company here called Toronto Dating Hub. And now they're using it for, not only virtual events, but also in-person events. So, they would rent out these like venues with really large screens. They project CrowdParty as, their sort of opening icebreaker, right? And now we're seeing use cases that we've never really imagined. And you're talking about mastermind and coaches. When we sort of launched and piloted that AppSumo deal, we saw a lot of coaches, and virtual educators getting onto the platform, right? Because they saw what the tool can do, beyond just the workplace. So yes, it's great for the workplace, but yes, it's also great for schools. Yes, it's good for, anything virtual to engage your crowd. And it's such a flexible and versatile platform that you can really do anything with it, even if it's beyond the workplace.
So while you're talking, you gave me more ideas when you said using it for school. So I have a 7-year-old, and you guys, if you guys haven't checked out Justin's LinkedIn profile and see how many languages he knows about coding, it's like, wow. I was telling him that HTML just overwhelmed me, and I was glad that I actually passed the class so I don't have to use HTML anymore. But turns out now there's spell check. So yay.
Yay for a spell check.
So the idea you gave me, using it for school, I was telling you that my son has now, he's in 2nd grade. They are talking about coding and languages. So I'm going to have him sit at my desk and make his own CrowdParty game using his vocabulary words.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That would be so fun. Because now I can imagine a game where it's just beyond review and, sort of content comprehension. Because then, your son could have I'm just looking at this now. How would I design this room, right? There would be a trivia. What is the first programming language? And I should know the answer to that. But I think it is assembly, technically. It's the assembly language. But then the next round could be beyond trivia. So it'd be like, who's most likely to become a Nobel Prize winning computer scientist? Right? And now it picks from the participants. So what's your son's name?
Ian.
So it'd be Ian, Erica, or Justin. And now you have people voting on who's most likely to become a Nobel Prize winning computer scientist, right? And it sparks this conversation. Why'd you pick Ian? Oh, because Ian knows all the languages, right? And then at the very end, there'd be like, would you rather? Would you rather work for Google or Apple? Right? And now you have all these kids voting, oh, I want to work for Google because they have all these products. And you're really enticing them beyond just the content, right? You're having, fun and relevant contextual, really play questions that would actually encourage them to pursue, computer science even further versus just the traditional trivia. Because trivia, it's kind of like a quiz, right?
Yeah.
It's still fun because it's sort of game. So if you want to quiz here's a tip for the teachers here. If you want to quiz your students in a fun and engaging way and make it seem like a game, CrowdParty is the go-to because, the UI is really fun and engaging. It's bright, it's colorful, it pops. But it can go beyond that, right? So like I said, we have all these other games that we can do. Another really good game that we have is called Withdraw. And that's something that we came up with ourselves. But in addition to those rounds, we can have a withdraw, right? Of, let's just say, maybe the word that they have to guess is Tesla, right? And then with withdraw, you have two artists drawing at the same time and everybody has to guess. So it's kind of like Pictionary as pairs, if you think of it that way. So they're drawing two different clues. And then one's drawing a car, right? And then one's drawing the electric symbol. Right. And then people would have to guess, oh, okay, electric car, Tesla. And then you'd see the hits sort of showing up there. But really, again, so versatile that it doesn't have to just be a traditional quiz. It could be something that's fun, something that's memorable, something that's exciting. Right.
Wait, Justin, I got to tell you this. You gave me another idea. So my son's in second grade. His birthday is during the school year and he can't bring food. So my idea is make postcards with QR code with a game that we've made for his class.
Oh, yeah, that would be amazing. I mean, they just scan it on their phones or their iPads that they're using at schools, and now they can play the game. And now, it's funny you mentioned the birthday because 2 Saturdays ago, it was my niece's 1-year-old party. So she just turned 1. And the venue at the time was a little bit smaller than expected. We wanted to play musical chairs, but then with all the kids and all the, the grandmas and grandpas around, we thought it'd be a safety hazard. So what we did instead was, 15 minutes before the event, I was here creating a crowd party for Eliza, my niece. And it ended up being really fun because we had things like trivia, pick who's, it was a variety. It was kind of like a diverse set of rounds. And so one of the trivia questions were it was like a GIF because we have this thing called picture trivia. So we uploaded a GIF of Eliza eating, from a plate. And it'd be like, what is Eliza's favorite food? Is it pasta? Is it cheese? Right? Or is it broccoli? Right. And everybody, you even had, the grandparents kind of tuning in from their devices from where they were at while they were eating, tuning into the game. Right. And basically you had conversations and I was sort of emceeing it. So then I would go up to random people and be like, hey, why'd you think this? Right. Because we have things like, would you rathers as well. Right. So one of the funny questions was, what do you think Eliza will be when she grows up? Is she going to be a nurse? Is she going to be an engineer, or is she going to be an actor or a model? And people it was kind of like, this round type majority wins, right? So if you side with the majority, you win points. And it was a tie between an actor model and an engineer. So she's probably going to end up as a, you know, full-time software engineer, potentially, and an actress, a Hollywood actress by night. And then because you'd see the votes, you can now go and say, hey, why'd you think that way? Right. And then, they'd be trying to like rationalize this decision. Well, their dad's in IT, right? But she's also really good looking girl, and now you have these conversations just flowing, and then people are laughing, people are having a great time. So yeah, I mean, great ideas. And these are just some of the ideas that we know of. I mean, but imagine all the other use cases that people are going to come up with because they're able to customize it, because it is so easy to use.
I can see you having like piles of use cases just stacked on your desk for people reporting their stories to you.
Yeah, and that's sort of, that is the funnest part of my job, is being able to talk to folks like yourself, customers, right? And because we are a small team, we do read everything, right? And it's just, it warms my heart to know that people are using this, and it's sort of enriching their, their work processes. And, it's always good to hear about how people have used it in interesting ways. So masterminds, for example, when we had, I think it was, well, there was, I mentioned Toronto Dating Hub, but, when they use that to just break the ice with all these singles in a Zoom call, I said, wow, that is a really fascinating use case. You know what I mean? Because we have games there, sort of like, it's called Friendly Fire, where it puts somebody in this really silly scenario. We're going to play that in a bit, but you get to know more about each other, right? In this easy and accessible way.
Okay, I like that.
So lots of use cases, and I'm sure there are going to be lots more to come.
I believe that. So I told you about it was showed to us in our mastermind. So I've had this mastermind for about 3 years now, and I have yet to set up a membership area. So I'm thinking I'm going to do that before this year ends, so I can make my members happy. And well, it's actually just a good idea, but I would like to have like recaps in there using CrowdParty. So could you tell me some of the places that CrowdParty integrates with? Are there any courses or membership platforms that you guys integrate with?
Not at the moment, not in terms of courses, but we do have integrations. So we've integrated with a company called Bramble. So Bramble is a video spatial platform, sort of like the ones where you can walk your character, and then it'll just, you go to a meeting room and you can see everybody else there. So we've integrated with them, and all you have to do is like add a game to your Bramble world, and then CrowdParty is one of the options there. And we've also integrated with a company called Work From Homey, another Toronto-based startup that deals with essentially remote workforce, just the remote workforce. I was going to say engagement, I think, but they do more than just engagement. They do, analytics and things like that as well. So we are sort of embedded in their dashboard, where if they want to just have and spin up a quick, fun time for the employees, they can find, a game section, and now the games are essentially the CrowdParty games. But, we sort of designed CrowdParty to be really technology agnostic, so that you can integrate it anywhere you'd like. So there are customers, for example, who have integrated within their a paid community of some sort, and then every week, they would essentially invite all these paid community members to essentially join, like a happy hour, and they'd use CrowdParty for that. Right. So it really depends on what you want to do. We made it, again, so flexible that if you want to integrate it within a paid component of your site, you can. Right. We have an easy, essentially embed API. And if that's something you're interested in for your own company, for your own business, shoot us an email, and we'll be like, hey, here you go. talkvirtual.crowdparty.app. Go ahead.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sending you an email.
Please do. And a lot of people have been asking, I mean, one of the major asks are like Apple TV and Zoom. And the reason why we didn't do a Zoom app yet, Zoom has apps now, was that you can do it anyway, right? Like that's the magic of CrowdParty, is that even before Zoom had released the app section, is you can already share your screen, and it'll just, it's just as easy as that, right? You don't have to add another extension and have to contact your IT department, have to download another software, and players would just join using the phones and the devices they just have at their, at their fingertips, right? So integrations, definitely, if that's something you want to look into, contact us.
You got my attention when you said I could have that. So yeah, I do want that.
Okay, all right.
So when it was showed to us during our mastermind, shout out to Zakia Ringo for sharing it with us. She had it on her screen. She shared the screen, and we had our phones in our hand, participating, pushing buttons, choosing which choice. And I was like, hey, that's why we stayed on for about 20, 30 minutes, because we were having a good time.
I'm glad to hear.
So any other use cases you've heard about using CrowdParty with events?
Yeah, so marketing and sales, that is for companies specifically, it's a very big, value add, right? Because with sales, once they're done, they're sort of pitching kind of their proposal, right? Again, with sales, you sort of want to make the process memorable, right? If you're a prospect, you want to leave a sales room or a call with something memorable. So anything that you want to sort of sprinkle, this sort of, key takeaways / memorability, definitely a great use case for CrowdParty. So we've seen usage in sales where, they would do a proposal, and at the very end, right, they would play a quick game. And that was more than enough to essentially make that sales, this is all for all the sales folks out here. It's a big secret. Don't tell anybody else, right? But that was more than enough to really make that a memorable experience. And again, if you are involving emotions, and in this case, joyful emotions, it does make it that much more memorable. So, we have like sales recap, right? What are the features, right? They play quick trivia. What are the features? Or like, they use the polling functionality, because we also have just polls without points. It's like, what is your favorite product that we've shown you today, right? And for salespeople, they can sort of derive those analytics. But for, the prospects, they're leaving here and they're having fun because they're playing a game, right? Mm-hmm. And at the very end, it's not your boring, all right, well, we'll see you next time. We'll continue our conversations further, right? But it's like you end it with a bang. And that's what we've seen with marketing as well. So we were used for a crypto company, and they had this like 1,000-person event where they wanted to auction off NFTs. And essentially the top 10 players, and the scores are already calculated for you, so you don't have to worry about it. The top 10 players won NFTs from the NFTs that they were auctioning off. And that's the way to sort of market essentially their upcoming, collection of NFTs. So, marketing, sales, anything that could use a little bit more fun. Not a little bit, but just more fun in general.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that because I myself want to give away NFTs at the event I'm hosting in January. And yay for all of us that Justin has agreed to speak at that event in January. So, yay.
Woo, all right.
So you gave me another idea. My favorite outdoor festival is coming up second week of October. It's called Fall for Greenville. It's where restaurants come outside and they're on the street and they have these booths, and you just eat, drink, walk around and be merry and do it again. So I'm thinking when they sign up to have their booth on the street, they could sign up for crowd party, and they could have their own trivia for their booths. And at that, maybe at the end of their the 2 days of this event, maybe everyone can vote on which place had the best booth, or which had the best food or customer service or something like that. Like,
Right.
I
Yeah.
see this being used a lot.
Yeah, that is a very interesting use case because I could definitely see that for more brand engagement, right?
Hmm.
So brand engagement with, you know, essentially in the food and services industry, right? Whether it's sort of a festival where you want to like increase your brand awareness, and you create a, quick crowd party game for your brand, right? If
Yeah.
it's, let's just say Starbucks, for example, right? If you want to like showcase a new drink, create something around that, right? If you want to just have some sort of quick, fun and easy game around this new product, just to essentially, increase brand awareness, that's another use case,
Yeah.
right? It's funny you mentioned that because we actually signed up for another event in 2023. And this is sort of like a cultural event, and they have performances on stage, but they want to have, to give away the prizes, right? Instead of, doing it the old traditional way where people sign up for like raffle tickets and stuff,
Hmm.
they actually want to use CrowdParty to raffle off the prizes because we actually have a built-in raffle functionality. So, you can create your own room, and there's this room that's called random player picker or something like that, which we should probably just call raffle because it's probably we didn't want to call it a raffle because then they would. Yeah, I don't know why we're not calling it a raffle. We should, but essentially, what they would do is the cool thing about using CrowdParty as your raffle system is that it's live, right? So, for example, you know, in that use case, everybody would have to come near the stage and actually, you know, immerse themselves in not only in the performances, right, but come up to scan that QR code, right? And now because it's QR code per device that you're scanning, right? You now have this sort of way to essentially avoid sort of any malicious activity, right? Because sometimes with raffle tickets, you can get multiple, you can re-enter your name and stuff like that. But now you go up to the stage, you scan the QR code for the CrowdParty raffle, right? It's live, it's happening live. So when that raffle happens on CrowdParty, it selects from, the hundreds of participants that are tuned in to that CrowdParty game. And then from those hundreds of participants, you get a couple winners, right? So that's kind of an interesting use case as well, is you can use it, for organizations and schools. If you want to, Christmas is coming up. If you want to raffle something to employees in a fun and easy and fair way, because the last thing you want is you don't want to give a prize to somebody who's not there.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, hey, look, you're not here, you're not engaging, you're not participating. Why should you be included in this draw? Right? So what CrowdParty allows you to do, it's a live raffle system where you just, again, scan the QR code, play a couple trivia or, some of the games that we have. And then at the very end, you raffle up a pair of AirPods or maybe the new iPhone 14 Pro. I'd love to win that.
So
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
so now I'm thinking, after the speaker or the trainer is on the stage and you do their review thing at the very end, if they really wanted to give away something, they could use it for that too. So
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that.
So that's that's what we've done. So I started a community here called Toronto Game Night and Chill. So we host monthly game nights, and usually we have sponsors giving out prizes. And the thing with trivia and games is that sometimes it's also, like, yes, it's competitive. So we have prizes for the winners of those games. but we also want to give a chance to people who may not be as knowledgeable in the trivia that we're setting up for that day. Right. So at the very end, we have one round where it's like a random raffle. And then people who are already in tune in that game gets the ability to win something, even though they weren't so good with the trivia, even though they weren't so good with the games. Right. Yeah. So a great way to just raffle things off, to engage people in non-competitive ways as well.
I like that. It makes me feel like there's a such thing as fair.
Yes, exactly. Fairness is key. Fairness is key.
So let everyone know where they can find you. Like, what's your favorite social media platform?
My favorite, to be quite honest, is Twitter. But I'd love to connect on LinkedIn. Twitter is more for my my random thoughts daily. So if you like random thoughts from Justin, philosophical and existential questions, I'm very into philosophy. Follow me on Twitter. But if you'd like to know more about CrowdParty and my professional background, definitely reach out to me on LinkedIn. And we'll talk there. If you have any questions around CrowdParty, around virtual engagement, that's sort of my expertise around joy and company culture. Also right up my alley. So let's have a chat. Let's have coffee. My Calendly is always open. So let me know and we'll set something up.
Yeah, I connected with you on LinkedIn. I was like, yay, Justin accepted my connection request. I do want to ask you about your time management skills because you do so much. I know we don't have time and I need to let you go, but you do so much and it's like you do it really well. So yeah, if you have a course on that or a CrowdParty game on time management skills, I bet you get a lot of attention on that.
Yeah, maybe I should release a CrowdParty time management game, but I mean, Erica, here's the thing, and it's as cliche as it may sound, for me today, when I left my job in 2020, work does not feel like work anymore. It feels like play. And, there's a lot of cliche sort of self-help books that'll tell you, hey, you've got to find the job that feels like play so that you don't have to work. But honestly, there's some truism in that, right? And
there's truth in cliches.
This is play to me. This is fun. I'm talking to another person and I'm sort of just talking about my story. This is not, to me, what some people might consider work. This is not work. This is a time for me to reflect, time for me to, to discuss topics around the workplace, around virtual events. This is playtime. So in terms of time management, the best time management tip is that, hey, you got to find some time to do what you love and it'll feel like play rather than just something that you put on the calendar and you have to sort of do as a task. Yeah.
I understand that.
Did you want to close this up with a quick CrowdParty game?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's do it.
Yes, please.
Let's do it. So I've prepared this room. And this is from our Falling for Autumn game. So there you go. So go ahead and scan that QR code on your phone, Erica. We'll get you in the game there.
Grab it here.
Can you also, I guess, is it also sharing the sound, right? Can you hear the sound?
I can hear it.
Okay.
Let's see. Almost got it. Yep. Okay, I got it. It's coming up.
Awesome. So we also have a shareable link here that you can copy if you're on Google Meets, or you can just join on crowdparty.app 67170.
Okay. Says loading. My phone's taking forever. Okay. Sorry, has my name.
Awesome. And then we also have icebreakers here if you are waiting on a couple more people. In this case, let's just play it between me and you because I want to get to know you better.
Okay.
All right. So, you know the rules. We essentially, questions are going to appear on here. You use your phone as your controller. And the round in this game is called Friendly Fire. And it's a way to get to know each other. So let's see how well we know each other.
Okay.
What is Justin's opinion on pumpkin spice lattes? Clear cells runs through their blood. It's okay or not a fan?
Let's see.
I am what you would call basic. I love pumpkin spice lattes. I've already had mine, and this is like the first week of September. So I love pumpkin spice lattes. That's
I'm more into sweet potatoes.
sweet potatoes. All right. Well, you guess. So you didn't get that one, but maybe next round.
What is Erica's favorite season? Summer, winter, or autumn?
Oh. You seem like you like the beach.
Yeah, I do, but I hadn't been in a while.
Okay, but summer is your favorite season. See, so like the interesting thing about this is that it's so, it's so easy, it's so frictionless that now I can, it's a conversation starter. I didn't, I don't know why I thought of the beach, but I thought of the beach because it's summer, right? But now I know that you haven't been to the beach in a while, so maybe next summer I can invite you out to South Carolina Beach, Myrtle Beach.
Okay.
Right? Awesome.
What is Justin's favorite fall activity? Corn maze, apple picking, or pumpkin picking?
I have never been to a pumpkin patch, but maybe this year is the year.
Okay.
But my family and I usually go apple picking this time of year, and it's always a great time. So that's my favorite activity.
We've never been apple picking, even though we love all things apple, but we've been to plenty of pumpkin patches.
Oh, so at a pumpkin patch, do you actually get a pumpkin from a pumpkin patch? Is that
Yeah.
like, because I see people just going to pumpkin patches and they just take Instagram pictures and they'd be like, they go to like, a Walmart or a Metro to buy a pumpkin to carve. But okay,
Yeah.
noted. It's probably cheaper at a pumpkin patch anyway.
We take pictures and everything also, but yeah, we still get a pumpkin.
Okay, noted.
What is Erica's go-to fall drink? Hot
Ooh.
chocolate, apple cider, or pumpkin spice?
Well, see, this is how I knew why it was apple cider.
Because we like all things apples.
All things apples. So I knew you were an apple cider girl. So I'm beating you fair and square here, Erica.
I gotta stop telling you the answers.
Oh, wow. You're a little bit behind there. Well, you got a last round to redeem yourself.
What kind of trick or treater is Justin? Goes really early, grabs a handful or trickster.
Oh, boy. Erica, to be fair, I used to be a person who grabs a handful, but I'm also in my 30s now, so I like to sleep early. So I go really early.
Here in South Carolina, it doesn't really get dark till about 9 o'clock. So we go about 5 p.m. and we'll stay out till about 9.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's, I guess when it's like a little bit lighter out, it's not as fun because it's not as spooky. You really got to wait for you got to wait for dusk and, the evening to really get the feel for it. But here it's going to start getting dark around 7 p.m. So it's not too bad. And then lights out usually at 10. And then you have like a couple kids, maybe like ringing your doorbell at like 11 p.m., even though the lights are out. And you just say, no. Or at that point, we just leave a basket of candies outside,
Well, that's nice. That's when you grab the handful.
Exactly. That's when old me would have been, I'm going to take this whole basket. See you later. See you later, suckers. But there you go. So there you have it. That is Falling for Autumn, our, one of the feature games that we have. And, when I customize that room, I just selectively picked the friendly fire games because I knew it would be a fun way to get to know each other a little bit. And, these games, like I said, perfect for onboarding, perfect for, team building. in a way that is really frictionless for the team. And if you want to play more, let me just show you the homepage here. It's crowdparty.app. Again, free for up to 10 players, no downloads required, and no signups required to try it out. So you go host the game, and there are all our games. So Mid-Autumn Festival Party, Back to School Icebreakers, Are You Smarter Than a College Dropout? Guess the Brand, Food Fun Facts, and oh my God, so many games. Netflix and Chill. The Mandela Effect is one of my favorite because it sort of lets you questions what you know. And then Are You Smarter Than the Fifth Grader? And then those are the featured games. And if you just want to play some of the classic games, they're randomly selected. They're over here. So we have Trivia Night, Friendly Fire, if you want to play those type of questions that we just played, Would You Rathers, Cha-Cha Charades. And then we have all the previous history of the rooms that we featured before. So Beach Day Party and National Couples Day, Guess the Book Cover, National Intern Day, Studio Ghibli. So we have all these, and all of them are customizable. Oh, so easy to customize the games. So if I wanted to take Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, customize them, you can customize them just with a click of a button. And then you'll get like a Google form like sheet. I'll show you right now. And there you have it. And you can edit them. And this was the randomize button I was telling you about. And it just comes up with content for you. So very, very cool.
Like that.
So that's CrowdParty. And for the sake of this talk, we're actually piloting. Well, it is going to be our launch anniversary soon. So
what are you doing for the launch anniversary? Or is that what you're about to show us?
So I'm going to tell you and then show you something cool. So for the launch anniversary, so right now we have a pricing page here, and companies pay on a subscription basis. But for our launch anniversary, and you're going to get the first look here first, is we're going to have sort of a CrowdParty 2.0. So things are even going to look even much nicer and much more engaging and much simpler to use. So if we go to host a game, for example, we're going to add a collection section. So things like, onboarding, things like, conferences, or back to school review. So collections, or we're calling them, and this is going to look entirely different. And to celebrate our launch anniversary, I want to take you to this page. It's called the secret page. So if you're tuning in and you're watching this, please don't share this with anybody. But the URL is crowdparty.app/secret. And we're actually, for a limited time, doing secret lifetime passes. And I know we did this once with AppSumo, which was great for the AppSumo community, but now we're extending this towards organizations all over the world. And, this is essentially a window of opportunity to prep for your upcoming holiday season with a one-time payment, and you have unlimited access to CrowdParty now and the future of CrowdParty. So
this would make great gifts. I'm thinking about this for my son's teacher.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yes.
Why not?
They would make great gifts indeed. Perfect for the holiday season. Perfect to make someone's, work life a little bit more joyful.
Yeah.
So there you have it. I mean, that's something that we can share, maybe on the post newsletter of this conversation.
Yeah.
But this is going on for a limited time. We haven't announced it yet because we want to announce it during the window of our launch anniversary. But for folks who are tuning in or have tuned or watched this, there you have it. And we're only going to hold this till about when we launch. So, if this is something that you're interested in, if you're interested in bringing back fun to whatever it is that you do, whether it's a workplace or your school or, your virtual events, make sure to snag one now because it's only up here for a limited time. Well, while supplies last, as they say.
All right. Thank you, Justin.
No problem. Well, Erica, thanks for having me.
Very nice and very generous.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, if we can spread joy in the world, that's my only ask. My only ask is people become more optimistic, become more joyful, they smile a little bit, and the world will be a much better place. That's my theory.
Okay, I believe you. Well, thank you, Justin. And for all of you who are watching us now, connect with Justin either on Twitter or LinkedIn or both. And be sure to catch one of those codes.
Yes. And check it out, CrowdParty.
Yeah.
It ain't a party without CrowdParty.
I believe that. Well, thank you for your time, Justin.
Thank you, Erica.